Welcome to Season 2 of the Turnaround Podcast, the true life basketball story of Bull City's own Stewart Squirt Holley. This season will take you through Holley's basketball career, from Rockingham Community College to Lithuania and back to Bull City, where it all began. Listen in and listen up. Squirt's about to take you on another journey with his raw storytelling. For you, it's insight and entertainment. For Squirt, these are the stories of his life. Enjoy.
So coming out of prison and what actually got me into the junior college, like I said, I was working some miscellaneous jobs. And I think one of the first jobs that I had landed was a food line. I was out on parole and I was working at a food line and pushing shopping carts and grabbing groceries. And I remember one of my coworkers coming to me after they had gotten new management. He come to me and he said, "Yo, man, they're about to fire me and you." I looked at him. I said, "Why would you say that?" He was like, "They just got new management, and the new management, they don't want no felons." So the guy who had hired me was a black guy named Andrew, and I bumps into him from time to time, and I let him know that I appreciate him for doing what he did, because he was the first person to give me a job when I had gotten out of prison. And when I filled the application out, all the applications asked, "Have you ever been convicted of a felony?" And my mom used to tell me to just leave it blank or put willing to discuss. So that's what I did. And I explained things to him, and I never forget how this man just looked at me. He said, "Listen, man, do you want the job or not, man? I don't care about that." And so I appreciate him for that. And like the last time I saw him, it was around maybe the New Year's or just after the New Year's, I saw this guy. And I again told him what that meant to me. And this man broke down crying. This was a man in his 50s. He broke down crying because I told him he helped change my life. If it wasn't for him, I would not have went overseas, because he had a part in that. And that's what I explained to him. He had a part in that because he was willing to give me a chance. So the new management decided to fire me and this other guy. And being that he had gave me a warning, I was already prepared for it. So I was like, all right, cool. These people actually pulled me into the office and interrogated me like, "Why didn't you check on the application? You was a felon," and all of that. And I said, "Because if I would have checked it, you wouldn't have gave me no job. That's why I didn't check it." So they ended up letting me go, letting this other guy go, which is cool. So I found myself jobless. And I had all kind of thoughts going through my mind at that time. And one of my best friends, his mom at the time was like a general manager at a McDonald's. So I ended up working at a McDonald's, and while I was at that McDonald's, did pretty well. Then they got a new management. New management comes in. It's kind of like a deja vu thing. New management comes in, and all of a sudden they want men to wear no facial hair. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not finna alter my facial, I'm not finna alter my appearance just to flip a burger and drop some fries." So I was just totally against that. And it was kind of funny because I resisted for a long time, and they never said anything to me directly, but they would get my boy Mama to come. She's like a mama to me. So Renee kept coming to me, "Squirt, please cut your hair. Squirt, please cut your," I said, "Mama, right now I love you, but I ain't gonna cut my hair to come in and flip no burger." So I finally decided, I ain't gonna have my mama, because it was coming down on her. So I decided to go ahead and shave my face. And that was the first time I ever shaved my face outside of being in a boot camp. So shaved all my facial hair off and had just the mustache. And the very first time my boys saw me with that look, they started teasing me, saying that I looked like Lionel Richie. So that was it. I was done. I told the people at McDonald's they can kiss where the sun don't shine. I'm good. I left McDonald's uncertain where I was headed, what I was going to do, and how I was going to do it. So then, like I said, got the job with the city and worked for the city of Durham, street maintenance department, and asphalt. And So actually played in a basketball tournament with the city. I don't know if we had talked about that or not, but real quickly, street men's department, we ended up winning the championship. And from that time on, I go to work, it wasn't the same. My colleagues, every day I go to work, they're just like, yo, man, you don't belong here. You need to do something with your skills, man. You got a special gift. You got a talent, man. You ain't supposed to be here. And that went on for so long that it planted a seed in my mind. And I said, maybe these people see something I don't even see in myself. I just didn't know how to go about to do it. So how I ended up going off to college was this. They put the seed in my head. So what I did was I reached out to my high school basketball coach, Ray Hartsfield, and I said, Coach, I need to see you and I need to talk to you. So we met up, and I expressed to him, I said, Coach, I don't know if you know, but I'm just coming home from prison, and I would like to get into a college of some sort and pursue academics and basketball. And I said, I don't know about a 4-year school or university. I'm intimidated of the academics, and I don't know how the system or protocol works. So he asked me if I ever heard of a junior college. And I looked at him like, what the hell is a junior college? So he began explaining to me that the junior colleges, the classrooms are smaller, student body isn't quite as large. They have, sports programs. I could go pursue my academics and my education, get the necessary attention that I need from the professors because the classrooms are smaller. And so he began putting together a few schools and coaches that he knew who was at these particular junior colleges. So one of the first schools that I visited was Lewisburg Community College. And this is where I met John Humphreys. The world knows him as the helicopter from And1. So I go on to visit this particular weekend. They showed us around the college campus. And then later that night, went one of the basketball games that the college was having. And I watched John, who later became the helicopter. I watched him just have his way with the other team. And I said, yo, this is cool. The crowd, the home crowd was into it. And it was a small gym, kind of like being in Cameron Indoor Stadium. For those who don't know what Cameron Indoor Stadium is, home of Duke. The student body is one of those gyms where the student body, like, pretty much sits right on the floor. So the crowd is, like, right on the floor, which is good for the home team because they'll heckle and intimidate the visiting team. And so I said, yeah, I want to be a part of this. I want to be a part of this. So the coach at that time was named Drake. He was an older white guy. This guy looked like he could be someone's grandfather. So I knew that was the wrong place for me simply because he lost me when he was like, well, first of all, you had to cut your hair. My players here at the program were clean haircuts. And I said, oh, okay, all right. But in my mind, I knew this ain't the place for me because I didn't feel like I should have to cut my hair to play junior college basketball or to attend a school. I knew that was the wrong place for me. So the next place that was on the list was Rockingham Community College down in Reedsville, North Carolina. Actually, the school sits in Wentworth, but a lot of people say Reedsville, but the school is actually located in Wentworth, North Carolina. So I went down, workouts, and went visit the campus. And the coach there at the time was named Dean Myrick. And so while there, I said, okay, I like this. It's a beautiful campus. It's a small town. Reedsville, Wentworth was a small town, like where I was born. Edenton was a small town, so I could relate the quietness, the stillness of it, the close-knit community. So during the workouts, I noticed one particular guy, about 6 foot. This guy had a shot on him. I'm just watching this guy just drag these dudes. And the ironic thing about it was this dude had a cast on his shooter arm. I mean, it was excused for a break. And me and him ended up at the same water fountain. So I said, yo, bro. I said, yo, what happened to your hand, man? He said, I broke it fighting. And he said it kind of aggressively. And I looked at him. I said, you know what? I like you, homie. Where you from? So he said, it's from Burlington. I said, yo, what's your name? He said, BJ. And we later became roommates. You know what I'm saying? So I like this toughness. I admire this toughness. Here's a guy with pretty much with a broken hand, which was his dominant hand. but yet he was still in there serving these dudes. So out of all of the participants, another guy stood out. This guy, 6'6", loudmouth, and I was attracted to him because I seen that he was the type to play an intimidating style of basketball. So I was attracted to him for that sense, because my mindset was always, and I developed this in prison, I would match a person's aggression, his intensity, his endurance. And so when I looked at this guy, the first thing I thought about was, I want some of this motherfucker right here. I want some of him. So finally I got that matchup during the workouts when it was time to go up and down the transition. Never seen this guy there before in my life, didn't know who he was, didn't care. I walked up to him and I looked up at him, and I stand 6'3", 6'4". And I walked up to him, I look up at him, and I said, all of that wild man shit you was just doing a while ago, dunking, hollering, screaming, all of that stops here, right now. He looked at me and he laughed. And once the ball was thrown up in the air and we began going up and down the floor, he didn't get any more dunks. He didn't dominate. Instead, the tables were turned. I dominated him. And so come to find out, he was a returning player. And he know who he is, out of Greensboro, North Carolina. Played with Brendan Haywood at Greensboro Dudley. And Montreal, another one of my best buddies. So the coach, immediately after everything was over with, coach sat me down. He said, "Yo, man, we got to get you on some paperwork." And he seen what I did to Montreal, one of his best players. I put the clamps on him. Just simple things. Nobody boxed Montreal out. That's how he got a lot of dunks on the offensive end. He wouldn't just get the rebound, but he'd get the rebound and dunk it. Just because nobody put a body on him. So I just put a body on him. This is basic, fundamental basketball. I got very physical with him. Another thing that I learned in prison and developed, just being physical with guys and being aggressive with guys, because in prison, you don't have a referee to break up a fight. You don't have fans to break up a fight. You don't have teammates to break up a fight. If a fight ensues or a fight happens, then that's between you and that man. Of course, you got correctional officers who walk around on the compound with shotguns. They may fire a shot into the air to disperse the situation, or they may let you even fight it out. I'm just one of those type of guys. You're not going to intimidate me. That's an edge that come along with the sport that helped to make me successful and play as long as I did because of that mindset, that workhorse mindset. I'm not going to allow you to just have your way with me. You're going to know I exist when it's all over said and done with. And any athlete can relate to this when I say this. When your peers come to you and say, "You a beast," when your peers come to you and say that to you, not a fan, but a peer, it goes a lot further because they know what goes into this, the work ethic, the sacrifice. So you see someone who does those things on a level higher than yours, on a level greater than yours, it's just admiration, and you learn from that. And ties into why a lot of people love, admired, and adored Kobe so much, because they understood what he put into it. Might not have necessarily saw it firsthand, but they had a sense and understanding of that. And so that's how I ended up going to the junior college. So my curriculum of study, business administration, then I switched that curriculum to dynamics of strength and conditioning training. And that's when I received my associate's degree. And while I was at the junior college, I was the oldest. I was the strongest. My teammates looked at me as Big Bruh. In fact, that's what they called me, Big Bruh. They later learned my background, so they knew where I came from. They knew what type of situation I came from. And these guys was fresh out of high school. I was already almost mid-20s, been through things in life that these guys probably would never experience. And the immediate respect was there. And I led those guys. I helped to lead those guys at Rockingham Community College. And I want to say we had a 12-man roster, maybe 15 The 12 only dressed out. I was one of the 12 who always dressed out. Out of 15 players, outside of DJ and a good friend of mine who's like a brother to me, my boy Marius Grasbergers, how we say Mano Brolis, Matimo. That's Lithuanian for I love you, bruh. So, but besides myself, BJ and Marius were the only two guys who lived in the weight room. And again, that work ethic, no one saw. My high school friends and teammates, they didn't see that part of my life. People I grew up with here back in Durham, they didn't see that part of my life. But those who went to the college with me, they witnessed that. They witnessed my commitment. Every class that I went to, I sat in either the first or second row in that class. I was never late for a class. I never missed a class. The only time I missed a class was because we were on the road traveling, competing, and they were excused. I never cheated on one test. In fact, the college professors, they didn't even know I was on the basketball team because they just thought I was a student. They did not know that I was a student athlete because the rest of my teammates were loud. They let you know that they were on the basketball team or baseball team. But me, I realized that this was a second chance for me because, again, I didn't come immediately out of high school and go to college. I wasn't on a scholarship. So that process was simple. I had to pay out of pocket. So my mom and her husband, they also financially backed me up with this simply because being that I had felony drug charge, that was the thing that hindered me from receiving any type of financial assistance. So the road wasn't easy. You couldn't receive any type of financial assistance on any type of a level. So if I was going to go to the junior college, I had to pay out of pocket. And being that I was working for the city of Durham, how I set things up was I go to the junior college during the school year. During the summertime, I come home and I would work with the street maintenance department to earn money to pay for my school books and my rent. So that's how I did it. And it wasn't easy, but I did it because I was young, I was ambitious, I loved basketball, and I looked at being at that college was, for me, it was a second opportunity to do what I didn't do in high school because of the things that I involved myself in high school. And I didn't take advantage of basketball like I should have. If I'd had that focus in high school, I could have earned a 4-year scholarship possibly because I was good enough. Even though we had a lot of talent at our school, and no disrespect to that high school coach at the time who was the varsity head coach. And again, I never played 1 year of varsity basketball due to the fact I was in trouble with the law. And Coach Parrish pulled me into his office one time and sat me down. And he's told me, Stewart, I can't let you play varsity basketball when you're out here doing things in the community like this. And he showed me a Durham Morning Herald newspaper, crime log, my face plastered all over the front page of it. And so I just looked at him and I said, okay, coach. So it was like, if you can stay out of trouble, you play JV. You can stay out of trouble, I'll bring you up. I was like, all right, coach. You know, I had to respect that. So to all the kids out there, we all heard the story about Michael Jordan being cut from his varsity team. That's true. It happens. I didn't play varsity basketball, but yet still, I ended up playing as a professional in Europe, right? Because I refused to let anything hold me back. So you don't necessarily have to play varsity. Does it help? Hell yeah, it helps. Does it help to have the support of your coach? Yes, it does. But you know, even in high school, my high school coach had his favorites. I wasn't one of his favorites. Now, my junior varsity coach, Ray Hartsfield, he was a different coach. He didn't show favoritism. And Hartsfield was the best coach I ever had because he's a retired Marine. His system was loyal to discipline and consisted of if we violated any of his teachings or rules during basketball practice or game time, we paid a price for that. And that price we paid was a combination of suicide and push-ups. And that's what made us the team that we were. It alleviated a lot of the guys who couldn't handle the physicality of it, the mental aspect of it. And like Coach said, those type of guys you do not want in a foxhole with you. And those lessons stuck with me even to this day, and I'm going to die with those disciplines buried in my mind. I use that same tactic and that same system when I coach, loyal to discipline.
This has been a Vanguard Podcast Network original. Stay tuned for the next episode of the Turnaround Podcast, and follow the Turnaround Podcast on Instagram by clicking the link in the show notes. If you'd like to book Stewart Holley for a speaking engagement or to be a guest on your show, please reach out to theturnaround77@gmail.com, and someone will get back to you within 48 hours. Thank you for listening.